Guaranteed to be less painful than taking a bite out of Giorgio Chiellini's shoulder. Welcome to episode 10 of Dre TV.
Welcome to you all at home.
You've still got a chance to win this race, haven't you?
Just try. I wanna be the only one to make you feel
Hey guys, Dre here, back out with a brand new video for you, and welcome to episode 10 of Dre TV, the show where we talk about all the things in Formula 1, MotoGP, you ask me questions, and all that good stuff, and I'm sure you know the format by now. Apart from the fact I'm actually changing the format around now, just a quick update here on the status of Dre TV. To make my life a little bit easier in the long run, I am changing the format of the show. Only a minor tweak. Basically, for any race reviews I now do, I'm no longer going to actually review the race itself. Because chances are, if you're watching this video, you've probably already seen the race. I'll still give my score at the end like I normally do, but the thing is, because you've probably already watched the race, what's the point in me spending the time writing out a script, reviewing the race which you've probably already seen? So, you know, it's a bit of a waste of time in repeating all that information to you. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to give my opinions on the Grand Prix. If you've been on my website, harrison101.com, and you've basically seen my 5 thoughts blogs after every Grand Prix, it's going to be in a similar vein to that kind of format from here on in. More opinionated to a degree, and just basically more to do with that more than anything else. So hopefully it's a bit more useful listening time in the video rather than just hearing what's already happened and what you've already seen or already known. So hopefully you guys enjoy the format change. If you don't like it, let me know. I'd love to hear your feedback as always. In this video we're going to be reviewing the Austrian Grand Prix in Formula 1. Talking about things like Williams' strategy changes, was Hamilton screwed out of the win in the pit stop exchanges, things like that. Sky's irritating broadcasting, which I'm going to go into as well. MotoGP from Catalunya, which I thought was one of the best races of the year, probably a future classic more than anything else as well. And of course, Ask Dre and the Castrol GP Predictor League, and an update. The shirts are here, so you can finally see what you're actually playing for as well. So, without further ado, I hope you guys enjoy the show, and here are my 5 thoughts on the Austrian Grand Prix. Nico Rosberg wasn't put off by the 2 Williams in front of him. Instead, took his time, took advantage of some Williams strategic flaws, got ahead and stayed ahead, despite the Sergio Perez roadblock rearing its ugly head again. It was the Catalan and Bahrain races again, only this time in reverse, as Rosberg did just enough at the end to get the win from an attacking Hamilton who had used less fuel over the course of the race. Definitely one of his stronger assets in the arsenal now for Hamilton is his constant ability to be able to use as little fuel as possible during the race and come back strong at the end. However, it was Hamilton who had stolen the show from 9th place, with one of the best starts I've seen in the years. He was 4th by the end of lap 2, with an astonishing pass on Fernando Alonso through turn 8, one of the best of the year so far. He got through the Williams and by the end was within DRS range on Nico for the win. If he was maybe a little bit luckier on the pit stops, he may have been able to win. More on that in a bit. Williams were too darn conservative. Again. I like this team and I really do want them to do well. My former radio boss was effectively telling me, Williams is like everyone's second favourite team. And it's kind of right. So it frustrates me that in my eyes, for the 3rd time this season and the 2nd time in 2 races, they messed up what could have been at worst a shot at the win. I don't know why when you're Williams, a team that has had issues with tyre wear all season, you choose to go longer and give your opponents at Mercedes a chance to rack up more than 1 free out lap, when you know they're probably faster than you in clean air. All Williams had to do would be to pit immediately afterwards using the 2.5 second lead they had, come out in front and keep track position, which is what should have been Williams' first priority given how hard it was to pass. Only the 2.1 second monster pit stop from the team on Bottas saved him from the same problem. Yes, that was the third fastest pit stop in Formula 1 history. This isn't the first time Williams have shot themselves in the leg. I mentioned before how Bottas was almost mailed out of a potential podium in Spain earlier this season by running longer than Daniel Ricciardo and then losing out heavily on the undercut. And then in Canada, where Massa could have had an easy win if he one stopped instead of two, knowing Perez would back up the faster attackers while Rosberg was crippled. Don't get me wrong, I understand why they did it. They were gifted a golden carrot of a front row lockout, and knowing they had the fastest cars in the field in a straight line, probably played it safe and took the 27 points for an easy third and fourth. But I can't help but shake the feeling of, screw it, grab those Mercs by the balls and freaking go for it. Pit stops, conspiracy theories, Lewis Hamilton and you. A lot of people have been drawing attention to the close finish and have come up with the theory of Lewis Hamilton missing out on the win because his pit stops were slower than Nico's, even to the point where some were suggesting that Mercedes were doing this on purpose to favour Rosberg. Why? Because, you know, German driver, German team, that's all the logic you need, right? Now, I hate even coming up with conspiracy theories at the best of times, but for this one, I'm going to humour it. What people fail to realise is that Hamilton overshot the pit box on his first stop, losing that precious second that Sky seemed to think cost him the win, as his team had to readjust for his overshot car. As for the possibility of bias, first of all, you should all love Mercedes as a team as it is. They've already publicly said they do not issue team orders, and they've always felt they have a moral duty to entertain the fans by letting their drivers race. They both push super hard for both their drivers, and I've never seen any evidence to suggest otherwise. And about the whole German team, German driver thing, most of Mercedes is based in Brackley, in the United Kingdom. It's an Anglo-German team. I don't see any favouring towards one nation over the other. And for those mentioning Rosberg having constantly better pit stops, there's not a single factual argument that suggests the team would be doing this on purpose. It's just coincidence. Why? Because the pit crews are human beings too. They're not going to be consistent, ever, because human error is the only constant. Robots don't carry out the pit stops, which would cancel out said error. I'm not denying Hamilton's stops denied him a better chance of winning, but to flat out say it cost him the win yesterday is just plain silly, especially given Austria's nature. Yeah, I think the FIA messed up a little bit on this one, bringing Formula 1 back to the Red Bull Ring, or at least messed up the layout of the track. It looked great on TV with the woodland scenery and the Red Bull sponsorship has definitely spruced the place up a bit, but for me, the way the FIA did the DRS zones hampered the race. I bet they thought the car slipstream alone would be enough to pass on that second straight between turns 1 and 2, so they left that alone and slapped 2 DRS zones on the home straight and the turns between 2 and 3, and it just didn't work. The straights aren't long enough for DRS to take true effect, and I think passing into turn 1's just flat out difficult without track extending. For next year they need to move those DRS zones around a little bit if you ask me. I applaud the cojones of Daniel Ricciardo, Daniel Kvyat and Lewis Hamilton for somehow putting off passes through turns 5 and 8, because this really isn't a track for passing and the second half of the Grand Prix was a basic procession. And finally, my patience was starting to run thin with Sky Sports. Okay, this won't apply to anyone who didn't watch on their coverage, but this weekend really ground my gears with Sky Sports F1. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of their coverage at the best of times, but most of the time, they're passable. To be honest, I've mentioned before how strongly they favour Lewis Hamilton, especially around the Monaco incident, but it seems to have carried over into other parts of their coverage, like David Croft's commentary. He was a minor annoyance in qualifying when they were desperate to hype up Williams' qualifying pace as a threat to Mercedes, when they really weren't. But during the race, the constant brown-nosing of Hamilton got really grating, saying things like, "Can you make a pass on Bottas into turn 2?" when Bottas was half a second back and 10 car lengths away. Seriously? The usual post-race Hamilton talk ensued, completely glossing over Rosberg's performance and Bottas' brilliant drive for a podium, not to mention the embarrassing moment of Simon Lazenby trying to get Toto Wolff into doing an Arnold Schwarzenegger impression, as well as start to stir the pot that the team might start favouring Rosberg because... speculation? Cringe! I know, ragging on the media makes me a bit of a hypocrite, as it's a sector I'm aspiring to get into. But for me, the media is so important in terms of Formula 1. These people are the middlemen that are there to entertain, but also relay and inform the viewing audience that these are meant to be people we can trust and respect, especially for the casual viewer who are channel hopping or just have a passing interest. When silly things like this happen, you have to question their journalistic and broadcasting integrity. Like I said, media is important, especially as the sport moves in a new direction. Come on, Sky, please, get it right. I gave Austria a 5 out of 10 in my race review, and the reason why I gave it a 5 out of 10 was because it started out with the premise of being quite decent, and you know, Williams and Mercedes really going to war over this one, but the Sergio Perez wall didn't help, and then the second half of the race was pretty much a procession as Mercedes took it amongst themselves to turn the screw. Williams weren't willing to really respond, and they were just going to settle for third and fourth. And the race was a bit of a procession because Austria was just difficult to pass around in general more than anything else. So yeah, 5 out of 10 for me. Not a particularly great race, but we've been kind of spoilt lately anyway, given how freaking amazing Canada was. This season, despite the fact it's been uncompetitive at the top, it has actually produced some really good races. Bahrain, Monaco, Canada have all been really good, and I've scored them a 7 out of 10 or higher, so has it really been that bad? I'll leave you guys to debate that in the comments. Anyway, Castrol Predictor League, everybody. Dre TV Predictor League update. And, wow, we have some news here for you. Alexei Korsman pulled out a 165 points weekend in Austria, scoring 100 bonus points for correctly predicting, on the nose, 6 correct finishes. He got Rosberg, Hamilton and Bottas for the podium, Massa 4th, Alonso 5th, and Magnussen exactly right in 7th, as well as 5 bonus points for correctly predicting Perez had most positions gained. Yeah, he scored more than 65 points more than any other person in the league this past week. Shout out to Donna Marie Bailey for scoring 99 points in 2nd this week, and Stefan Petrovic with 94 points in 3rd. But the overall league table, Alexei Korsman now leads by a whopping 87 points, with 580 right at the top. He was already in 7th place, but now has established himself as the dominant league leader. So now he is the man to beat in terms of league position right now. Like I said, he's got an 87 point advantage as we come towards the halfway point in the season now as it goes. Remember, as I've always said before, overall winner of the league will win a copy of F1 2014 I should say, sorry, F1 2014 on the console of their choice, as well as the top 3 winning Harrison 101 t-shirt, which I can now reveal. Ta-da! Or, I'm not sure which way it's going to be on the edit, but I'm covering both my angles here. You could now win that t-shirt right there, in the colour of your choice as well, if you come in 2nd or 3rd. You can now pick up these shirts on my Spreadshirt store as a way of saying thank you for 5,000 subscribers. And if you feel like supporting me or supporting the show, pick up a t-shirt. I'll mention right now, by the way, if you buy a shirt and send me a picture, I will feature it in a video and I'll give you a plug or whatever you like as well. But it's the least I can do for being such a fantastic fan of the show. I might also make some Dre TV t-shirts soon as well, so we'll have to wait and see about that. But thank you all so much for the support as always. And yeah, if you haven't joined the league yet, you can. I'll put a link for that in the description down below. And yeah, I'm still kind of annoyed that I'm no longer top YouTuber because Arav is 1 point ahead of me. The cheeky sod. But seriously, before I move on as well, I want to say a massive thank you to Arav for sending the R-Factor video of the Mercedes around the Red Bull ring. That came completely out of nowhere, and he got off his backside and did that for me completely off his own back. Very generous of him. So thank you so much, Arav, for the support. Much appreciated. He's a very generous guy. Just a great dude, Arav, in general. So thanks very much to him for that. Right, let's do Ask Dre. Okay guys, welcome to Ask Dre, the segment of the show where you guys send in questions for me to answer. First of all, I've got to tackle Christian's question. I've been putting this off for about 3 or 4 episodes because I never quite knew the right way to go about this one. I was tempted to make my own segment about this one, but I chose and ended up choosing not to. But I want to say thanks to Christian for being so unbelievably patient with me that I've waited about 4 episodes to answer his question. So, thanks Christian for your patience. He was generally asking me about the idea of dominance in motorsport, asking about, using Vettel's dominant season last year as an example, where he won 13 Grand Prix and 9 in a row, and comparing it to this season where it seems to be there's an even more dominant team in Mercedes, but people don't seem to mind so much, and what kind of impact that has. And it's a very, very good question, to be honest with you, because it's interesting to me. It's interesting to me because last year people got really, really bored in Formula 1 of Vettel winning all the time. Because, like I said, he won 9 consecutive races that season, and it was generally known as being really boring. People didn't like it, fans seemed to be complaining a lot, that Vettel was getting booed for no particular reason, outside of saltiness, generally speaking, and overall people seem to be quite bored of the situation. This year we've replaced Red Bull, which was a dominant team, with an even more dominant team in Mercedes. It's weird, because Formula 1 has always been a sport of dominance for me, and it's one of those things where I find it hard to put a true scale on it, because I think Formula 1 is a weird thing where fans of the sport are never truly satisfied. It's not like football where Manchester United could win the league title by 15 points and people would get bored of watching football. That's not going to happen. It's a different sport entirely. But the weird thing is that motorsport doesn't like dominant champions. They don't like seeing the same guy win all the time because they get bored. And it's really, really weird how that keeps happening. I think the difference this time is the drivers. Sebastian Vettel is nowhere near as liked as much as Lewis Hamilton is. So kind of by default, because there's more Hamilton fans out there than Vettel fans, for me, more fans will be willing to turn a blind eye to the fact that Hamilton is so dominant right now, and the Mercedes team in general is so dominant, because I think Hamilton and Rosberg are more likeable in terms of the general Formula 1 audience than Sebastian Vettel is. And they're just tired of not seeing Vettel, or they're just tired of seeing Vettel win. So in the short term, at least, they'll take any other winner for the most part. So because of that, I think more fans will turn a blind eye, because more of them are seeing their favourite guy win. For me, as a Vettel fan, I'll be the first guy to admit his 9-race win streak was really boring last year. But at the same time, you're just happy to see your favourite driver win. So you kind of put the blinkers up in the back of your head when it comes to talking about that kind of thing. So you're more likely to ignore it. And also, on top of that, this season's actually probably produced better races than last year's did. Bahrain, Monaco and Canada were all really solid Grand Prix this year at worst, and at their best, all-time classics. So the fact you've actually had some decent races at the same time as well can only help, well, I would say. So that's my answer to your question, Christian. I hope that was a decent enough answer for you. Let's have a look here. Okay, Joseph Willow's asking, is Lewis still favourite to win the title, or has Rosberg got the edge? I would still say Hamilton's favourite right now, and this is even after Austria, because, I mean, Rosberg now has a big advantage. Rosberg now has a 29-point lead in the championship, so that means he can now take a retirement and still be top of the championship, which is a really, really nice thing to have in the back pocket. You've got a 1-race advantage now. So whatever happens, you can blow a Grand Prix completely, put up a donut, and still keep your lead, even if Hamilton goes on to win the race. Hamilton's been very unlucky. He's lost 43 points to his teammates in terms of mechanical retirements, which is his only competition this year, because no one else further below is going to challenge him. But Hamilton's got 2 things in his favour. One, he's already closed down a 25-point lead and gone on to lead the championship earlier in the season when he won 4 races in a row. And the second part of that is that the double-point race in Abu Dhabi favours the chaser. And Hamilton likes to chase, so it's not really a bad thing overall for Hamilton. So I would say Rosberg has a small advantage, but the way the championship is calibrated and the way Hamilton has already chased down the league this season still, I think, gives him the overall advantage, I would say. Gigi Gali saying, how long will it be before Mercedes have won the Constructors' Championship with races to spare? I would say 5, maybe even 6. They've already got like a 140 odd point advantage over everybody else right now. That's the equivalent of, what, 3.5 Grand Prix, because the maximum points you can gain in a weekend is 43, 25 plus 18 for first and second. So 5 races would be 215 points. So I reckon by the time we get to, I think it's India, not India, sorry, I think it's Korea. I think they'll win it at Korea with five races to spare. Maybe Russia, something in that kind of ballpark. So I'd say they'll win with about 5 races to spare. Owen Quemby asks if you could swap one race that is on the MotoGP calendar with one race that's on the Formula 1 calendar, which race would it be? Good question. I think Austria would make a really good MotoGP track. I mentioned this during the weekend. I think Austria, the Red Bull Ring, would be really good for MotoGP. So I would swap that from the Formula 1 calendar. A Formula 1 race to bring over. Let me think. What's unique to the F1 calendar or the MotoGP calendar? The Saxon Ring, no. Too short. Probably not enough places to pass people. Aragon would be a possibility. Aragon's quite a good track, actually. You'd have a long straight. You've got plenty of fast corners. You could pass people around. Valencia wouldn't be too bad. Think, Dre, think. Argentina wouldn't be too bad either, actually. There's quite a few out there that would actually work. Estoril, when it used to be on the calendar, would have been ideal, because it's already done Formula 1 in the past. If I could choose one, I would say Aragon. I think that makes sense. So swap Aragon for Austria. I think that could definitely work. If you wanted to do 2 Spanish Grand Prix, basically. Or maybe bring over the Nürburgring. That could work too. Let's have a look here. Paul Foster Daniels' Williams question is kind of irrelevant now. Nathan Green asks, are you a fan of what the WEC proposed for the upcoming seasons to have it end with double points at Le Mans, and how would they go about changing it? Example, season without or half a season. Makes some sense. I actually wouldn't mind seeing that, because let's be honest, the WE season, not very many people actually watch it, except for the 24 hours of Le Mans. Le Mans is special. It's got that ultimate prestige of an endurance championship. So I wouldn't ever really complain if Le Mans was double points, because other sports do it in a similar fashion. For example, Wimbledon and the Grand Slams in tennis, where, Wimbledon, the US, the Australian Open, Roland Garros all do double points. Track and field, the Diamond League has a double point finale. So things like that, it can definitely work. And given Le Mans' prestige over 24 hours, sure, make it the season finale, readjust the calendar, make it double points at the end, and you'd have even more drama on top of what's already an incredible Le Mans experience. I wouldn't have any problem with that. Okay. James Francis White asks, how soon will the WEC World Endurance Championship be taken more seriously, technologically and socially? Technologically, they're probably already ahead. I mean, they've already producing 1,000 horsepower hybrid engines in their championship right now in the WEC. They've got this incredible hybrid technology right now, which is arguably a little bit better than what's in Formula 1s and definitely more reliable at the moment as well. So technologically, they're probably already there. Socially, they've got a long way to go, because Formula 1 is still the pinnacle of motorsport. Formula 1 is still Formula 1. And the WEC is not going to top that anytime soon, in my opinion anyway. That's kind of how I see it. Richard Evans, would there ever be a night race in Monaco? Too dangerous. Like, Monaco is dangerous enough during the day. During the night would be absolute carnage, and I can't see that working, but maybe that's just me. One more question I think I had on Twitter. 2 actually. Aaron asking, did you ever think you'd make it this far on YouTube? No, never. This is unbelievable. I'm about to hit 5,000 subscribers. If you're new to Dre TV and you've liked this show, please subscribe. I'm very, very close to 5k. That would be fantastic for me in the channel. I'd be over the moon and blown away. So thank you all so much for that. It's an unbelievable thing, and it's very surreal, and it's very humbling as well, Aaron. So thanks for that. And finally, Jeremy Parente asks, what do you think of the MASH push to all Asian cities? Hardly surprising. Singapore was the first, really, and you know, Singapore's got a huge industrial sector going for it right now. So it's not that surprising that Bernie's pushing for it, because he wants there to be more than one Monaco. Hence why there's a night race in Singapore. Hence why he had this big plan for Korea, which didn't really work out. Hence the push to India, you know, a country of 1.2 billion. You know, the push for Azerbaijan, a country with oil money. So you can see the pattern emerge here now, where they're pushing for more Asian and African and more Middle Eastern cities to take over, because it looks nice. And they'll probably have a lot more money in those sectors as well, like the UAE with Abu Dhabi and things like that. So it's hardly surprising. Do I agree with it? No, because I don't think their tracks are as good. I like the mainly European feel the calendar has. I think the European block has better racetracks as well, but that's just my opinion. Don't get me wrong, a little bit of sprinkling of Asia wouldn't hurt, but it's a bit much now for my liking. I mean, why else would you go to Russia? But anywho, I hope you guys enjoyed Ask Dre. Great segment again. Thanks always for all the questions. If you've got a question for Ask Dre, just put Ask Dre in the comments below and I'll try and answer it in the next episode. And finally, to wrap this episode up, let's talk about Catalunya and the MotoGP race from that weekend. No, seriously, is Marc Marquez even fuming at this point anymore? If there was one weekend this actually did show, it was that Marquez may actually be just a little bit fuming. Like 2, maybe 3%. He lost his streak of 6 consecutive poles after a rare drop in qualifying after Dani Pedrosa's scintillating 140.9 stunned the field. Then during the race, it was Valentino Rossi that was in control for the majority after a cracking start from the second row. Marquez pushing so hard from behind, he even tagged Rossi's rear wheel while braking from 215 miles an hour towards turn 1, causing Marc to use the chicane to get back on the road and had to give up second to Pedrosa to avoid a penalty, before promptly repassing him 3 corners later. It seems BT Sport's Julian Ryder may have been onto something when he said, the best way to beat Marquez might be to throw him off his rhythm, and this was back at Mugello, and it actually makes some sense. Let him lead early and he's borderline invincible. If you play rough with him and throw him off his rhythm by fighting him, he's probably at his most vulnerable. Well, as vulnerable as a guy with a 50% plus win rate is anyway in MotoGP. Mind you, despite this, his racecraft in fights has improved to the point where even if you play it right, you're still getting beaten more than 70% of the time. Last year, Lorenzo was matching or beating him in the second half of the season, whereas now Marquez is winning almost every matchup, and the reason why for me is that his final laps have been perfect every time. In the clutch, he is perfect. In Qatar, his fastest lap came at the end when Rossi was desperate to win. Mugello didn't give Lorenzo an inch, same again here. As much as he's been dominant, below the surface he's earning a lot of these wins too, and deserves all the credit he's been getting. This was far from an ideal weekend for MM93, but he still ground out a win, the sign of a true champion. The streak lives on for now. The curious case of Dani Pedrosa. Pedrosa went into this weekend with his back against the wall, 50 plus points back, losing to a superior teammate yet again and failing to impress. Coming off Mugello, where he finished 15 seconds off the win, Pedrosa needed to step up, not only for the season, but possibly for his job as well, where Honda have been extremely patient with him, but now are demanding results. Remember, he was nearly fired going into the 2013 season. However, Pedrosa rode this weekend with a fire underneath him, I haven't seen for a good while. Like last year, he set a brilliant qualifying lap of 1 minute 40.9 to take pole, and challenged Marquez right to the line from the get-go, something that simply hasn't happened this season so far to date. He needs more performances like that, if nothing else, to make this season more interesting. His future is still a curious one. Is Repsol Honda just going to keep him around as an adequate number 2, or will they roll the dice on try someone new, like Alicia Spargaro or Stefan Bradl? Also, did he cost himself a shot at the win when he raised his hand with about 7 laps to go? Will the real Jorge Lorenzo please stand up? I do not understand you sometimes, Jorge. He came off his best weekend of the season to looking painfully mediocre again in what was arguably his best track, having won here the last 2 years. I even predicted that he would win this one and end the streak in true Brock Lesnar fashion. He looked decent at the start, but quickly fell to the back of the pack, then dropped out of contention altogether until the yellow flag fiasco before dropping off again by the end. Jorge says he just wasn't fast enough out of the final corner to stay with the leaders, but I think that's nonsense. You don't lose that kind of time in just 15 seconds of racetrack unless your name's Scott Redding. This was a lot more like the Lorenzo we've seen for most of the season, rather than Jorge at his best, which is what we saw at Mugello. Whatever it is, considering he's now 97 points back from Marquez, his season might already be over. That next level. I love the midfield in MotoGP right now. Every race weekend, it seems to be it's changing. There's no standout best in the midfield runner in the sport right now, and while Catalunya wasn't the best example, the field really fluctuates from race to race. Right now, in the second tier, I have Alicia Spargaro constantly punching above his weight and machinery that isn't very good, and with a team that can't develop as much as the others due to lack of budget. Excellent qualifier. His brother Pol Spargaro. Bit of a rough start, but already replicating results similar to Tech 3's best when they had Crutchlow and Dovizioso. Stefan Bradl. To be honest, he really should have more than one podium by now, given that he has factory supports, and according to Julian Ryder, Honda are a little bit disappointed in him as well. But he's probably the most consistent of the midfield runners right now. Dovi. The best of the rest so far this season, dragging that Alfa Ducati as far as he can take it. Bradley Smith. Started his second season with real promise, but has slipped lately, but was really unhappy post-Spain as his tweet suggests. Missing, Bradley Smith race pace. Not sure where it was, lost, or why it disappeared, but I would like it back. Reward, top 6 finish, promise. Crutchlow. Okay, this one is frustrating as shit out of me. Crutchlow has the talent, that's established from his half a dozen podiums, but that Ducati is an awful bike that Cal's never been able to replicate his 2013 form in, and the mechanical issues it's had would make Sebastian Vettel wet his own bed in protest. He deserves to be in the top 8, but the team is clearly holding him back. And finally, Andrea Iannone. Without doubt, the most improved rider of 2014. Mentioned him before during my Italy blog, but his qualified is getting better. His race pace is only hindered by substandard satellite Ducati, and his stats are superb. His starts are superb, I should say. Other guys are close, like Yoni Hernandez and Scott Redding would be up there if it wasn't for his customer Honda, but for me, the pack is as good as any bit of motorsport on most weekends, and deserves credit. Okay guys, that'll just about do it for this week's Dre TV. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the new format. I hope it's better than what it was before. If you like it, if you don't like it, let me know in the comments. What did you think of Austria? What did you think of MotoGP in Catalunya? Who do you think will win at Assen this weekend? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts, as always. Don't forget to check out the link in the description below for t-shirts and all that good stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode very much, and I will catch you guys next time. Thank you very much for watching. Sayonara.
We are asked, do you have 3 words for Mark Marquez? Make them clean, please.
Small fucking bastard.